Okay, so a little backstory. I'll try to make it short. White Wolf had it's the I guess it's the 20th anniversary of Vampire the Masquerade. So they created, they're creating a whole series of 20th anniversary books that are very nicely bound, and they did it on Kickstarter. So, they said, well, we're going to have your input and all that. That's nice. Um, so they came out with the first book, the core rule book, which I had my near says about it, but for the most part, it's a nice book. And I actually bought the print on demand. I didn't have the money when it first came out. That's another thing about the whole situation. But so anyway, I bought that, and then I bought the next one, which was the companion book. Now, someone who's played and whose hobby is role playing games, a companion book for a main rule set like Vampire the Masquerade almost always entails player information. So anyway, they come out with the player's handbook, and I kind of had an idea it wasn't going to be much because they really weren't specific. It was very interesting. They had input, but they never really told you what they were putting in. They did tell you about the titles and there's titles and boons and things that vampires do and okay, but I thought, oh, this is just all they're showing us. There's more. So anyway, they come out with it and it's now what you have to understand, the first book, the core rule book that they put out was like 300 or 400 pages. It was like every freaking clan, every freaking discipline, yada yada, all in one book. Okay, so what did they put out? They put out an 80-page book, and it was half. It was well anyway. I have a review of that. I'm not going to go into it. It sucked. So they put out. So they go to the next one, Children of the Revolution. All right, so already, and these are people that back it. Okay, remember, on Kickstarter, you can only comment if you back the project. So the people who are backing the project are like, hey, the Vampire Companion book sucked. If for another reason, then, well, actually, I'll be more honest. Most of them said they were very disappointed in the page count. But come on, that really means it sucked. Even if you are a huge fan of boons and titles, it still sucks. You don't have nothing else, literally. So, they did boons and titles. They put the cative in, which should have been. So anyway, get back to the Children of the Revolution. So, they're almost everybody that bought into it are putting down how they hated the fact that it was small. So what did they do? Well, from now on, we'll put the page count down. Well, if you go to the main page, yeah, they tell you the page count, but they don't do it in a direct way. They don't say this one will be X amount of pages. They go, this one will be 33% more pages. Now, of course, anyone who can do basic math can say, oh, okay, 33%, compared to 80%, yeah. But most people, if you're in marketing, people go, oh, 33%, so much more. Not really. You're talking like, what, not even 20 pages more, maybe. They're not. So, they still. Oh, and then the worst part was, I don't know if it was in the email or if it was on the actual site. I think it was an email because I get emails for this one, even though I'm not backing it, which is really odd. They then go, well, we did a round table. They did like a discussion online, and this is what we got out of it. You didn't like the page count, and then it's now here's the thing. When you screw up, admit that you screwed up. I mean, just admit that you fucked up. That's what when you look at like when back when Wiener was caught, if he had just said, you're right. I was banging some chick on the side. I was doing, I was sending her pictures and stuff. Most of America would go, "Hey, Wiener, that's fine. You're just living up to your name," and they move on. But no, he gets up there and he lies, and he tells half truths, and he tries to, just be upfront. What they did is they get in there and they go, "Well, we just assumed, since we said it was a companion book, you would have thought it would have been like the other companion books where we're around 80 pages. You don't tell people that shit. You say, "We are so sorry we didn't tell you the page count. We are so sorry. We were under wrong assumptions and it was all our fault." You don't go on and say, "Well, if you really had read a thing, if you really read between the lines, you would have known how many pages it was." It So anyway, if you look on Kickstarter, I think, let's see here. Oh, they have 395 backers, and they've pledged $37,681, and their goal though was $50,000. Okay, so they're short by not 20%. 20,000, but less than $20,000. But that's still a lot considering they only have 8 days to go. I don't think they're going to get back, but it's interesting. If you read what it says on there, I honestly, I honestly think they're going to screw the people over. Contribute any amount you want. Bearing in mind the levels of contribution, their consummate rewards over there on the right. If we hit our $50,000 goal, you'll get the rewards that go with your level of contribution. If. But it doesn't say what happens if they don't. And I'm telling you right now, I have this feeling. If they don't hit that goal and you gave that money to them, you might be out of you might be out of money. They might just give you a regular book, but who knows? Maybe they won't. But the problem is they don't tell you, do they? I think if this goes any further, if they keep doing this stuff, I think the people that are involved in it, I'm not even going. It's Justin Acelia and Webb. I don't think they're going to have a job very much longer. I really don't. I mean, you just can't get up there and tell people shit and half-ass and not really. You're basically beating around the bush. Just tell people what they want to hear, which is just tell them the basic facts, but don't hide information, and that's what they're doing. Oh, this one's going to be 33% more. So you got to look up and figure out how many pages the last one was, and then you got to, if you didn't know anything about this project and you're just coming across on Kickstarter, well, the question would be, how many pages did the first one have? If it's 33% more, and then you got to do the math in your head or go online, whatever, and calculate it. They're just beating around the bush, and they're not really being forthcoming. They're really not. Same thing with this process of the people are going to help us determine what's going to be in it. Well, if you really read it, when they were doing the boons and stuff, yeah, people did their feedback, but you know what? I mean, from reading it from the beginning and then what came out in the book, it seems kind of like it was all the same. Like it really didn't change all that much. It kind of reminds me of one time I used to work for a grocery store, and we got a new boss, and it wasn't going very well. He couldn't really communicate with us, so they had a pizza party. Well, meeting, and there was going to be pizza and soda, so they get us down there, and I'll never forget, for an hour we told them everything that was wrong in the store and what really needed changing, why we couldn't achieve what we were doing. And so at the end of this meeting, he goes, "Well, um, I'm really happy that you've told me all this stuff, and yada yada." And but he kind of just left it at that, and nothing changed. He was playing to your ego to get you in there and saying, "I'm going to help you. I want to know what you need me to change." And he didn't do any of it. And I kind of get the feeling that this is what happens to this feedback. I don't really see them changing things. I don't really, like when everybody tells you that we're really pissed off about the page count not being on there, and then you go and you tell them, "Oh yeah, we're going to tell you what the page count is," and you just put it in the little wording, "Oh, it's 33% more," which you only know if you really read the whole thing. It should be there in bold letters, page count. This project is going to have X amount of pages. And I don't want to harp on that one little bit, but the whole entire thing is ripe like that. It's just ripe with stuff like that. And that, like going back to the companion piece, there could have been so much more put into that, and they didn't. And I think what they need to really think about and worry about is that we are in such a huge recession. These are hobbyists who are backing this. And they have some money. But I can tell you personally, like I didn't get the main rule book with the leather bound because at that moment I was in dire straits. And it's, then of course the next month I was able to buy the print on demand and pay almost the same amount of money. But you keep putting this stuff up and you expect people to pay the exuberant amounts. You've got to give them something. And you got to be upfront of what you're giving them. So, I know. I live downtown. I don't know, what's going to happen with this whole ordeal. But I'm telling you right now, if they don't change their ways, it's not going to look good.